Thank you, Lascir. I'd like to welcome Minister O'Dowd to the House, back to the House this evening. And I would also like to commend my colleague, Senator McSherry, on the spirit of the bill and the intention behind it. But as has been said, the bill as proposed is not in accordance with the EU Directive 92/93, which deals with alcohol taxation and taxes on such products, which are applied in relation to the nature and the strength. The bill would seek to introduce a levy on alcohol products from takeaway facilities, which would be a clear violation. However, as I said, I do commend the spirit of the bill, but cannot support it for that reason. I would certainly agree that Minister Lynch has made every effort to provide better mental health services across the country over the last 3 years under very limited and difficult circumstances, which I think it's important to highlight when we have these debates. Health, and particularly mental health, can be a very contentious topic, not just in this House but in very many forums. I have stated previously that I think it's important that we as public representatives reach out to the groups and members in our local communities to continue the campaign to erase the whole stigma which continues around mental health. In Dundalk, along with service providers and representatives from the town, we created the Dundalk Positive Mental Health Forum, which facilitates discussions and events, often for the public. But we meet regularly to discuss mental health issues in our community. And I must say, at the start of this year, we got great support from our local radio station, Dundalk FM, who allocated a 1-hour slot once a month to discuss positive mental health issues. And I think that's very good, that we need to bring it out into the community. We need to do all we can to reduce the whole stigma. I am aware of many excellent groups and individuals across the country who also engage with their local communities in a variety of innovative and needed ways and have made a very real impact. However, as we're all aware, the mental health services are not up to par. And I say that with the utmost respect to the Minister, but the truth is the truth. We have children who are being completely left out of the picture because they're in an age bracket that sees them too close to adulthood, but not close enough. And I think there is a huge problem for children that are between the 16 and 18 age gap, that are not being looked after, that CAMHS seem to stop at 16. They've said that they will take them, but I can give you umpteen cases where they are not being seen. Minister, I raised a particular case some months ago through an adjournment debate regarding a child with an intellectual disability who could not be seen to because they fell within that age group. Every child matters, and every child should be afforded the same level of supports when it comes to their mental health, whether they are 1 year old or 17 years old. And I think it's very, very unfortunate, particularly in that age group with an intellectual disability, where there aren't the support services. We need to ensure that we look after these children as best we can at the earliest possible age, so that they can have the best start before the additional weight of adulthood is placed on them. I can confirm in my area in County Louth that there is no child psychiatrist available for children with an intellectual disability in the age bracket of 16 to 18 years. And this is something that I have brought up continually. CAMHS will not see children in this age bracket. And for 2 whole years, the service fails this group of children. They have to wait until they're 18 years of age to receive the supports they deserve. And I think it's very important that we also look at that. Once a child reaches the age of 16, the paediatric services stop. So again, you're lost. You are literally lost for 2 full years. And just whether a child has an intellectual disability or not, it doesn't matter. And people don't seem to understand that. We have a huge problem there. And I am urging you, Minister, I know that Minister Lynch is not here, but I am asking you to take this as a fellow Louth man, to take this further. Last week we saw the publication of the Commission's annual report, which detailed the good and, unfortunately, the unacceptable, particularly regarding children in mental health services. Last year there were 408 child admissions, with 91 of these admissions to adult units. And that's something that in my maiden speech here I called on and said that I would love to see a change, where children with mental health difficulties would not be placed in adult units. And for one, I'm very sorry that 3 years later we're still looking at children being placed in adult units. I said, and only 31 of the 91 admissions being admitted to child and adolescent units. Again, we see 68% of these admissions being children in the 16 to 17 age brackets. It's the same problem. Minister, we're failing these children. I can categorically state that children in this group and their families leave the care of their paediatricians and are lost to the system for 2 full years. We then have an entirely different set of problems where children are admitted and seen to in the system, but what is happening while they are in care? I've been informed, and indeed, Minister, I have visited some institutions where I have witnessed a lack of consistency in the treatment. 1 week a child may see 1 doctor. I'm talking about when they are discharged. 1 week they may say 1 doctor. The next week they may see a completely different doctor who is there to deliver the same function as the previous doctor. Anybody, and I'm not a mental health expert, anybody who knows anything about trying to deal with people with mental health problems, as far as I'm aware and as far as I would hope, that consistency would be vital and would be key to improving health for them. Consistency and trust are vital in providing mental health services, not least for all our children. This report also highlighted that less than half of the services met the standards for therapeutic services or programmes, staffing 44% only, and worryingly only 60% provided individualised care plans. The bill proposed seeks to raise funds through the levy to enhance the functions of the National Office of Suicide Prevention. Funding for this office has increased over the period, and since the government took office, from a funding level of 4 million, it has risen to 8.8 million. Since its establishment in 2005, the office has made strides in terms of national strategy, the document Reach Out. The overall mental health services budget for the year stands at around €766 million, which I know every last cent is utilised. Maybe not as effectively or efficiently as we would like to see it, but that is our job as legislators. If you could just indulge me for half a minute, please. Thank you. To see a better return and provision for our euro. I would also like to point out the Department of Health and the HSE have begun work on the new strategy for suicide prevention, managed by the NOSP, which is expected to be completed by the end of the year. I eagerly await the publication of this strategy and hope that this will provide a better overall strategy for a problem that for too long has been locked away. While I have many problems with the mental health services in our country, one last additional issue that I would like to raise is the case for people, and again I have raised this over the last 3 years, who have been on antidepressants for a considerable length of time and are likely to continue on such medication. And I know there's another conversation about the pros and cons of antidepressants. But for people who have been told this is it for life, that you need this to balance, we seriously need to consider making long-term illness cards available to such people. Medication that is needed for our mental health is just as important as what is needed for our physical health. We really should not and cannot draw such distinctions any longer on these matters. I know I'm getting.
You're well over, yeah.
Okay, I understand, as I said, there are difficulties, and I hope to return to this matter with you again in the future.
Thank you, Senator.